Hey, Blue Table fans! I'm here. I'm here with my son Jonah, and we're playing Dark Angels versus Necrons, and I'm having a really great time. I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on because, as usual, every single game of 40K is incredibly interesting. And so we're at the top of the second. Dark Angels are at the top of the round. He didn't want to go first. How far are those guys moving? It's like an 8-inch move. That's a 5-inch move. Okay, sounds good. No, it's all right. It seemed like a long ways from here. Okay, anyway, right. So what I'm currently doing with my Necrons, for you Necron players out there, is I'm taking a Lord on foot, I'm giving him Veil of Darkness, and then on the first turn, I give them my Will Be Done. And that, I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but it gives them +1 to hit. So it gives them 2+ to hit. And the Chronomancer also gives them an Invuln, which will come in very much handy this turn. And I teleport them across the table. This game I've taken a Triarch Stalker, he's an interesting piece because he's actually kind of good in melee too. And he does 3 damage with his clawed forelimbs or whatever they're called. So the Triarch Stalker is an interesting creature. He's not Dynasty, so he doesn't get the Dynasty abilities. So in this game, I'm actually not looking amazingly great because I was going to fly up and just blast and charge these Terminators. Guess what I did instead? I killed 1 Terminator. So currently in the game with the various buffs that these guys can get, they're tough to kill. They get Inner Circle, which means they can only be wounded on 4-ups. And that's very depressing when you're trying to shoot them off the table. So now I'm basically going to get beat up. But we'll see. We'll see if the Necron ability to withstand damage will save the day. Because I got a lot of stuff going on here. And we'll see. I got no charges off, but they were all 9-ups to get them. But you'd think with a reroll in there that I would have made 1. But there's no use groaning about bad luck because that's not how this game works. It's bad positioning, bad play, not writing the army list right. All of these things add up to losing against an opponent who's paying a lot of attention. And frankly, I've actually played a pretty tight game. This is going to be harder than Jonah thinks, I think, to take down the Catan Shard. But he's coming up with some big baddies here, and we'll see if the Shard can hold her own. And the only mistake I've made is I didn't move the Crypto Thrall up behind these ruins. You can't shoot through ruins, so if one thing's on one side and the other's on the other side, this becomes basically this giant pillar through which you can't see anything. So a better move with this Crypto Thrall would have been to move over here and get behind the ruin. But quite frankly, the way this is angled, I think he's going to be out of sight anyway, and that's probably low on Jonah's priority list. But this objective's pretty weak. I'm pretty strong on this one just because I have this whole horde advancing here. But Warhammer 40K is now a 3-turn game. And if you have, just a note on timing for tournaments and stuff, if you have a 3 hours and each person supposedly gets an hour and a half, you don't divide that evenly. You don't say it's 5 turns, 90 minutes, 18 minutes a turn. Your first turn is obviously going to take like a half hour. And like in chess tournaments, you might take a long time just considering a critical move and use up some of that time. Because on turns 4 and 5, it's only going to take you 5 or 10 minutes to do your turn, because there's simply not going to be that much left on the board. Now, over here I've got a unit of 10 warriors, some of them on this objective, some warriors from this unit on this objective. Now what Jonah has to be careful about is what I call reanimation creep, which is he kills guys, some of them come back, and it allows you to shift the unit a little bit. And quite frankly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get over on this objective, and since I have, I think it's called Relentless Expansionist, I can possibly take this objective from him. because he only has one guy on it. Of course, you're in your movement phase, you can just pile those guys on.
Yeah.
And that'll make a really big difference. Yeah, so don't forget to move those. We are playing officially as if we're playing a tournament game. No fudging, no going back. Play everything correct from the get-go. So that's this army. He has support units in the form of aggressors that are only 19 points. Assault intercessors. Excuse me, thank you for pointing that out. And then 2 units of incredibly heavy hitters.
3.
The Inceptors.
Got
3?
these guys in order.
Oh, yeah. And yet another one. That's depressing. The Inceptors, though, I got them down to 1. Supposedly a stratagem is coming up to bring one back.
Yeah, that's
Does it have to be next to an apothecary for it, or it just like pops up?
That's probably going to be going on these Deathwing Knights.
Oh, because I killed a guy? And I killed it with mortals from my awesome thing. Check out my awesome Nightbringer conversion, by the way. Look at that. I did a video on this, and she looks really cool. I'm very, very pleased with that conversion. But I am actually going to get the official Nightbringer, just in case I go to a tournament and there's some hoo-ha about it for whatever reason. Yeah, so how do I win this game? I gotta take out these on my second turn. Oh, you can bring those in this turn, right? It's your second turn.
Yep.
Right? You're not to that. And he will bring them on, for sure. But they can only shoot this turn, so that'll give me 1 turn to try and do something against these guys. It's going to be bad. And quite frankly, this Catacomb Command Barge is probably not going to live through this nonsense here. Plus Azrael coming up. But we'll see. I do have some invulns on there. And, you know, I don't know. We'll find out. And this other Necron Lord is no slouch either. And I got my Royal Warden here. He can, so if these guys end up in close combat, are you still going? I'm not stopping you, am I?
I'm just waiting for you to...
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be going into my shooting. So.
Okay, sounds good. So anyway, the Royal Warden can make this giant blob of warriors fall back and then still shoot. So there's a lot going on here. All right, the Necron's big thing is the reanimation protocols. And quite frankly, a lot of Necron armies are going to have giant blocks of 20 warriors. I have 60 is what I run, and at 13 points each, I think that's 780 points, something like that. And so the Terminators just shot the Necron warriors. And so 6 of them died, 3 of them reanimated. So when you reanimate, you got to think, why do I want to place things in certain ways? So one of them, the reanimation creep, can get you on objectives. That's one big thing. It can also make you further away from an enemy. It can make you closer to an enemy. You can't get into engagement range, by the way. That's one of the limitations. And so in this case, I actually just wrapped them around my command barge like this to prevent a charge from coming in. Now Jonah right now, he's racking his brain on how he's going to still get this charge off on that command barge. What do you see?
You measure from the hull.
Yeah, I know. That's why this guy is... Oh yeah, you actually could get up here and charge him as well. Yep, that's right. So really, I can't do it. So
not with the amount that I've killed so far.
With the 3 guys.
Nope.
Yeah, well, hold on a second. Let's just think this through.
I'll let you reposition.
Well, I'm still in the same phase.
Yes, you are.
Here we go. So I have to measure to make sure this guy's within 2 inches of the other guy.
Here we go.
Because I can't have any things. Or I could, yeah, they have to be within coherency.
That's 2 inches.
Yeah, I think it is.
You're good.
So basically, by doing this, now he still could make this charge, but now he'll have to go around and get into this opening here. Whoops, I bumped that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's right.
It's a tough call. What do you see? Do you see, is that within an inch?
No, probably not.
Okay. Well, would you mind doing it?
Do you measure from the hull to the model, or do you measure from the hull to the base 1 inch?
Well, it's an interesting thing
How does that
because
work?
it says that, so technically, the way I've read it is this model would literally have to be within an inch of the hull. So like with his guns and stuff like that. So in that case, you definitely can make it, because you can end up something like this. You can go right here, and then that's less than an inch right there. So, all right, go ahead. Weird stuff, guys. We'd be glad for your comments, basically, because it's stuff like this that makes or breaks situations. Because this is a vehicle, and in its data sheet, it specifically says measure distances from the hull. And if you look in the basic rules, the hull isn't the actual hull. It's any part of the model is defined as the hull. So this thing sticking out, that's part of this model. So to make a successful charge, you need to be within 1 inch of that. Well, does the base of the model need to be within 1 inch?
Yeah, that's just
or does the model actually have to be within 1 inch? So we're going to look that up. It's definitely an interesting thing to know. And if you're going to walk into a tournament, you better know this stuff. So you're not just hemming and hawing, or even worse, just accepting something and your opponent maybe is conveniently forgetting to tell you what the actual rules are. Okay, I just want to talk about something here. So I had these assault intercessors come up on a unit of 9 warriors, and they were kind of balled up right here. And so I killed a bunch of them, and then 2 of them came back. Now that means their unit is 5 or less guys. Whoops. Okay, I got to start over again. Nope. Okay, I just want to talk about some reanimation shenanigans. So there was a ball of 9 warriors here. These assault intercessors charged in, and they killed a bunch of them. And then 2 guys came back, and since now they're 5 or less, it means for, what is it? What's that called? For coherency, they don't have to be within 2 inches of 2 guys, they only have to be within 2 inches of 1 guy. So I basically just got on the other side here and then put another guy there, and I got onto this objective. And now, since I'm OBSEC for my Dynasty ability, these guys have moved in subsequently. But so I'm now holding this objective. So when you're playing Necrons, you've got to watch out for those reanimation shenanigans. And don't just take and then just kind of put them up behind and not really think about it. Take a second, think, what are ways, like, do I want to be closer to something or do I want to be farther away from something, is the 2 basic questions. So in this case, I wanted to be closer to an objective. Oh, and that's what these circles are for. And by the way, I highly recommend these little mouse pad things for objectives. It's as if there was a 40mm base in the middle, and then 3 inches from it is how big these are. So you can always tell when you're on or off of an objective. Of course, if you're going to a tournament or you're a guest somewhere, or they just don't have these types of mats, then yeah, you still have to measure everything and really be careful of those. Hey guys, so Jonah and I set out to actually learn this game and this year and go to at least a few competitive events. We have one in about 9 days, and yes, that's right. And so we just finished our first game where we set a time limit of 3 hours. We don't have a chess clock, so, but it's rough. Jonah, you'd say that we both got about an hour and a half to actually do our turns. We only got to turn 2, pathetically enough. So, yeah, but that's okay. We each got to play 2 full turns. The score in the end was 17 Necrons to 16 Dark Angels. But the truth is, if we had played out the game, Jonah would have annihilated my army. So I'm very sad. I'm still trying to figure out what am I going to do to deal with these tough as nails Space Marines armies. It's crazy. The defenses are just nuts, and the counterattack is just like kapow. My my Catan Shard had no chance to attack. She just sort of ran up and got wailed on. 3 in psychic, 3 in shooting, and 3 in close combat, right?
Yeah, well, 1 in close combat.
So, and Jonah's playing a pretty tight game. He knows what his things do. He synergizes everything very nicely. He had 2 forces effectively, 1 on this side and 1 on this side. And he went in and just wiped everything out. The Triarch Stalker, and quite frankly, the Ghost Ark doesn't do much. I think I'm going to get rid of it. The 6-inch move, like the Ghost Arc isn't helping. I'm sorry to say. And quite frankly, I think I did love the performance of the Triarch Stalker. It has a lot of potential. It synergizes with the rerolls from Targeting Matrix.
Vaporized one of my characters.
Yeah, and, well, yeah, right through this gap there, I blew up a character for no... that was actually the Chronomancer that did that.
Oh, well, never mind.
But anyway, the point is, the Chronomancer, I take he has two weapons. He has a multi-shot one that's a little weaker, and then he has a stave that's like, it's kind of like a las cannon. And quite frankly, take that one because that makes him scary. There's like a 1 in 5 chance he's going to blow somebody up. And so yeah, it makes him very scary. But really, I played a pretty good game, I think. I got to get rid of the Ghost Arcs and replace them with things that actually go out and kill things.
Like Lich Guard, which go in Ghost Arcs. Whoa.
They don't, actually.
Oh, they don't?
It turns out I was wrong. They can only carry Necron warriors. Yep,
No
that would have been a DQ for Sean. Okay. Jonah, do you have anything to say? How'd it go? How could you do better? I couldn't have because I'm awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Just positioning my guys better, being faster at the game, using more stratagems to get those little advantages. Knowing my stratagems, I don't know very many stratagems. I just know like 4 or 5 good ones. That's it. Yeah. Taking out that Catan was nice. Yeah, he ran up his Catan to my Psychers so that they could take him out, because that's the only way you can take him out in one turn. If you don't have Psychics, then...
You can't take the Catan shard out in one turn.
Unless you have like your own Catan, or it's something that deals wounds in the command phase or move phase. You can't take him out in one turn, but you can take him out...
I gave you the charge, the second turn charge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a tough call because I've done both with the Nightbringer. Like I've played cautiously and then I never got anywhere and didn't do anything. And then if you play aggressively, then they can just jump up and kill her real quick.
You need to have some screening units so that she can heroically intervene.
Oh, that's so clever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do with your...
Like the Ghost Arc, have the Ghost Arc just like move up. And I don't know, what could screen the Catan shard that can also move quickly?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tomb Blades are cheap.
Lich
I have them.
Guard can advance.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Well, I've got a week and a half to figure it out.
Yeah, you don't need to move your Catan shard 8 inches every turn.
Right, but you do, because for her to be a threat and actually get anywhere, she has to move directly. And you can't use the powers if you advance.
Oh.
So, oddly, I found the Catan powers are what makes her so good.
Yeah, that took out.
But she's 370 points. What else could I buy with 370 points to actually get on the board and do things? Right? You keep saying Lich Guard. Well,
Lich Guard are awesome.
I'd love to hear from the population of the channel if you have other suggestions. So, cool. Also, I got to use my fun tracker. I got this off eBay. I think you just type in 40K game tracker and you'll find these. There's a lot of them, different types. Jonas still has to paint his.
Yeah.
So, sound of whip cracking. And, okay. Well, I guess that's all I have to say about this. It was a really fun game. Good job. Jonah and I did shake hands. So, it's a tough call. I do like the 3-hour limit, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I think we need to just get a chess clock and make that our normal thing for our games.
Last week.
Otherwise, it's like 6 hours. It's 7 hours to play a game. It's just bone crunching.
It doesn't feel good. You start like, your eyes start to glaze over. And you're just like, your wax fills your ears, and you just melt into your chair.
Yeah.
Rolling every 5 minutes.
All right, cool. Also, a bit of advice would be if you're playing more of an official game, definitely whenever your opponent's rolling dice, bring the cone of your eyes and be looking at that dice rolling. Like, always be watching your opponent roll the dice in case there's oversights, I guess. And I would encourage my opponent to watch me roll my dice, because sometimes I pick up the wrong things. And if you're sportsmanlike, you'll actually point out when your opponent goes to their disadvantage. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you see them take off a 6 that should have been a hit, I think you're morally obligated to be like, oh yeah, that was actually a hit. Tough call. Definitely something people talk a lot about. I've seen threads absolutely explode in a gasoline fire about this topic. My pet peeve is, I got to tell you guys, is unreadable dice.
Yeah.
Small dice, marbled dice, where you can't see the number. That marbled dice that also have like numeric, not pips.
Yeah.
And dice with symbols instead of numbers. Is that a 6? Is it a 1? What does the goblin head mean? Nobody knows. So yeah, guys, get some 20 millimeter dice and that can be readable, that are a solid color, and play with those and roll them where people can see them. That's all I got to say about that. And there you go.
Yeah, in this day and age, I don't know why anybody, this is tangential, but I don't know why anybody would take a power fist over a chain fist. Because a power fist is ×2, -1 to hit, 2 damage, 2 or 3 AP, right?
Okay.
But a chain fist is exactly that, except instead of 2 damage, it's D3 damage, -4 AP, guaranteed 3 damage against vehicles.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It doesn't cost extra?
No, it costs the exact same.
Just take chain fists.
Yep.
Okay,
Chain
cool.
fists,
All
because-
right. If Jonah's missing something, guys,
Yeah, let me know.
please point that out.
Because I don't
And
see why.
a chain fist is an iconic Space Marine weapon. All right, guys, I am having so much fun playing 40K. It's crazy. I'm into it again. For many years, I've been out of it. I've kind of played it with glazed over eyes, like, oh yay, more 40K. But now I am up in the middle of the night looking at my book, excited to find out this and that. And this is the first time ever in my life I've played 40K like more officially. I've always gone in just wanting my opponent to have a good time and to have some fun. And now I don't want my opponent to have a good time. I don't want to have any fun. I just want to win. Yeah, don't quote me in text about that. No, I'm not serious. Of course, I want those other things still, but I've set an objective to play a clean game, not as opposed to dirty, but play a game without errors just on my part. Actually learn it, and I found it immensely enjoyable. And locally, I'm lucky to have some really good players to go up against, notably Chris and Colton, who they're just getting worse playing me, and I'm getting better and better. So to go up against some really good players who aren't holding back really is a great privilege, and to learn something from it. Have a little humility. All right, thanks for tuning in. This is happening.